Hey everyone, I'm so excited and really grateful that you joined this live session all about lion tattoos today. Whether you're just starting out or you've been tattooing for years, this session is going to take you through every single step of creating a powerful, realistic lion tattoo that really stands out. We'll cover everything from choosing your design, prepping your stencil, outlining, shading, adding texture, working on both artificial practice skin and real skin, and even diving deep into common questions, mistakes, and professional tips. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get started. Before we jump in, if you find any of this helpful at any point, please smash that like button. It really supports me and helps keep this channel alive and kicking. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because I'll be sharing more detailed tutorials like this regularly. If you have questions or want me to repeat or explain anything, just write in the comments. I'll do my best to answer live and follow up after the session too. Choosing the right lion design is the foundation of a great tattoo. I always say a great tattoo starts before the needle even touches the skin. So when you pick your reference image, don't rush. Take your time to find a lion that really speaks to you emotionally and artistically. Is it the fierce roar, the proud calm stare, or the wild mane flowing in the wind? Each expression will guide your tattoo's mood and style. Look for photos with strong contrasts, highlights and shadows that give you a natural guide for your shading layer. The mane is especially important here. Directional lighting can bring out the texture and flow of each hair strand. If you pick a photo that's blurry, too busy, or flat, your tattoo will suffer. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece with a blurry photo. You lose detail and dimension. For those working on artificial skin, designs with bold, clear lines and strong contrast are best. The synthetic surface doesn't absorb ink like real skin, so subtle shading can get lost. Don't hesitate to use multiple references. Sometimes combining different lion images helps you create a unique, well-rounded design. Also, think about the tattoo size and placement on the client. A highly detailed face will need enough space to show those details. Otherwise, it'll just look like a blotch. By the way, what kind of lion expressions do you personally like? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your preferences. And if you find these tips helpful, hit that like button. Your support really means a lot. Once you have your design, it's time to prepare the stencil. This is your roadmap for the tattoo. When I'm preparing stencils for lion tattoos, I focus on simplicity and clarity. Only transfer the major outlines, the face's big shapes, eyes, nose, mouth, jawline, and a soft outline of the mane. Trying to stencil every single hair strand is a rookie mistake. Clutters your design and makes the tattoo harder to execute. Make sure the client's skin, or your artificial practice skin, is freshly shaved and clean to get a sharp stencil. I usually apply a thin, even layer of stencil gel. Too much gel can cause smudging, too little, and the stencil won't transfer properly. Press your stencil paper firmly and smoothly, then peel it off carefully. Let the stencil dry completely before starting. Don't want it to smear while you're tattooing. On artificial skin, keep in mind stencils tend to fade faster, so I always keep the reference image nearby to double-check details. One trick I use is to lightly seal the stencil with a small amount of petroleum jelly. This protects it during tattooing without messing with the ink. And don't forget, a clean stencil means a clean tattoo. How many of you prepare stencils differently? Write your methods in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this tip helps. Now, outlining, the backbone of any good tattoo. For lions, I prefer starting with a 7RL or 9RL needle for the main outlines. Why? Because these needles give you bold, clean lines that last through shading and aging. For smaller, intricate details like the eyes, nostrils, and lips, I switch to smaller needles like 3RL or 5RL for precision. Line work requires a steady hand and skin stretching. Whether on artificial skin or a client, pulling the skin taut is essential for smooth, crisp lines. I like to start outlining from the eyes, the soul of the tattoo. Getting the eyes symmetrical and precise sets the tone for the entire piece. From there, I outline the nose, mouth, jawline, and then move outward to the mane. Don't rush. Slow, confident strokes are much better than fast, shaky lines. If you feel your hand trembling, lower your machine voltage or slow your hand speed. Better to take your time than to fix mistakes later. For artificial skin, you might find you need to adjust pressure because the surface is different. Firm but gentle stretching helps. On real skin, watch for texture and elasticity. Some areas like the neck or chest move more, so you'll need to adapt. Quick check, who's tried outlining the mane first? Share your experience below. And if this section is useful, smash that like button. Every like helps me keep sharing these tutorials. Shading is the real magic that makes a lion tattoo come alive. It's all about creating depth, dimension, and texture. I always prepare a series of greywash inks diluted at different concentrations, usually 100%, 75%, 50%, 25%, and 10%. This lets me create smooth, seamless gradients and realistic shadows. For shading, I use curved magnum needles like 13 RM or 15 RM for bigger, softer areas. For tight spaces or textured details like fur strands, I switch to smaller magnums like 7M or 9M. Start shading with your darkest values, under the eyes, inside the mouth, and beneath the nose. Use soft, circular, or pendulum motions with the machine to slowly build up layers of shading. Never apply heavy pressure or try to get it done in one pass. This causes patchy, blotchy shading. Patience is key here. Thin, slow passes build the smoothest gradients. On artificial skin, shading acts differently because the surface doesn't absorb ink the same way, so slow down your hand and build layers carefully. On real skin, keep an eye on skin hydration and texture. Adjust your hand pressure so you don't overwork the skin or cause blowouts. Remember, shading is about contrast. The difference between light and dark areas is what creates realism. Quick question for you all. Do you prefer heavier contrast or more subtle shading in lion tattoos? Comment below and let's discuss. And if these tips help, don't forget to like and subscribe to get notified for more tutorials. The lion's mane is one of the most challenging and rewarding parts to tattoo. It's all about creating flowing texture and depth. I use whip shading, a motion where your hand flicks or whips the machine to gradually fade the ink from dark to light. Always follow the natural direction of hair growth, from the face outward toward the edges of the mane. Use small liner needles for hair strand details and magnums for overall shading. Keep the lines sharper and more detailed in the front and softer and more diffused in the back to create a sense of depth. Don't try to outline every hair strand. Instead, suggest hair texture through shading and subtle highlights. This gives the tattoo a natural and dynamic look. How do you guys handle large mane areas? Drop your tips in the comments. And if you've learned something, hit that like button. Facial details on the lion require patience and precision. The eyes are the focal point. Fill the pupils with solid black, then build layered shading around the eyelids. Add small white highlights in the eyes to give them life and sparkle. The nose should have smooth transitions between dark and mid-tone shades, with the nostrils being the darkest points. Add soft highlights along the bridge of the nose. The mouth requires deep shadows inside and lighter shading on the teeth and tongue to create form and depth. These details make the tattoo feel alive and realistic, so take your time. Remember, every little detail counts. Don't rush. Which facial feature do you find hardest to shade? Comment below. I want to know. And if you enjoy this, like and subscribe. Let's go over some common questions I get about lion tattoos. How can you prevent your lines from bleeding? Make sure your needle depth is set correctly. Too deep causes bleeding. Too shallow results in deep lines. Stretch the skin firmly. Use steady pressure and don't press too hard. Adjust your machine voltage for crisp, clean lines. And don't forget to keep your needles clean and sharp. Do you have your own method for preventing bleeding? Share it below. What voltage works best for outlining and shading? It depends on your machine and skin type, but for most rotary machines, 8 to 9 volts is a good starting point. Outlining usually needs a slightly higher voltage for sharper lines, shading a bit lower for softer gradients. Always test on practice skin or a small area first. How can you keep the stencil from smudging while tattooing? Make sure your stencil dries completely before you start. Apply a thin layer of petroleum jelly to protect it. Avoid wiping over the stencil aggressively during tattooing. Should you outline every hair in the mane? No. Outlining every strand will clutter your design and make it harder to tattoo. Focus on main shapes and use shading to suggest hair texture. How do you layer gray wash ink correctly? Start with your darkest gray, then gradually build lighter layers on top. Always use thin passes and build up slowly for smooth gradients. What needles work best for main texture? Small round liners like 3RL or 5RL for individual hair strands, magnums for overall shading. How do you fix shading mistakes without ruining the tattoo? Sometimes you can cover up mistakes with lighter shades or white highlights. For deeper mistakes, it might require a touch-up later on. What's different when working on artificial skin compared to real skin? Artificial skin doesn't absorb ink the same way, so you'll need to adjust your pressure and layering. Stencils fade faster on synthetic skin. Also, artificial skin doesn't heal, so practice is focused on technique rather than final appearance. How long should you wait before shading after outlining? On real skin, wait a few minutes for lines to settle, but not too long that the stencil fades. On artificial skin, you can usually start right away. How do you avoid blowouts on sensitive skin? Use lighter pressure, shallower needle depth, and slower machine speed. What aftercare should you recommend for lion tattoos? Keep the tattoo clean and moisturized. Avoid sun exposure and don't pick scabs. Follow instructions specific to your client's skin. Can you add color washes over gray wash? Yes, but apply colors in thin layers and blend carefully to avoid muddiness. How do you handle client movement? Communicate clearly, give breaks, and work efficiently, especially on sensitive areas. Use firm grips and good skin stretching. How do you keep shading consistent on curved areas? Adjust your hand angle and pressure and follow the skin's natural curves. What are the signs of overworking skin? Excess redness, swelling, bleeding, or shiny raw spots mean you should slow down or stop. Now let's talk about the most common mistakes artists make with lion tattoos on both artificial and real skin. Pressing too hard. This causes scarring on real skin and tears, artificial skin. Over outlining. Thick, heavy lines make your tattoo look stiff and unnatural. Ignoring the natural direction of hair growth. This makes the mane look fake. Skipping layers and shading, your tattoo loses depth and looks flat. Not cleaning needles between washes. Rushing through shading causes uneven gradients and blotches. Using the wrong needle for the area, too big and you lose detail, too small and it takes forever to fill. Not adjusting your machine speed and voltage according to the skin type. Every skin behaves differently and you need to adapt. Ignoring the stencil, if the lines fade, your shading can drift and ruin symmetry. Let's go deeper into shading techniques. One of my favorite methods is layered glazing. This is where you build up thin, translucent layers of gray wash ink over each other, like painting multiple glazes in fine art. You can control the darkness and tone very precisely. It allows you to create subtle shadows that fade smoothly into highlights, giving the lion's face depth and realism. When shading the mane, I like to combine whip shading with layering. Whip shading gives natural hair flow, while layering adds dimension and volume. Start with the darkest tones and the deepest shadows, then gradually build midtones, and finally add the lightest shades. This method creates the illusion of thick, flowing hair. For the lion's eyes, I use a technique called deep contrast. Dark pupils, soft midtones around the eyelids, and subtle highlights create a lifelike gaze. The eyes are critical. If they don't look alive, the whole tattoo loses impact. A common mistake in the mouth area is over-darkening or undershading the lips and tongue. Always observe the reference closely. Shadows under the tongue and teeth must be darker, while the tongue itself may have lighter gradients. The nostrils need to be precise and dark to add realism. Texture is everything. The lion's fur should look soft, not flat or patchy. Directional shading mimics natural hair flow. Always pay attention to the reference photo. The smallest detail makes a big difference. When practicing on artificial skin, remember it doesn't heal or absorb ink the same way. You might need extra passes to see true shading results. On real skin, subtle layering is more important. Adjust your hand pressure constantly and take breaks if necessary. Let's talk about equipment. Machine choice, needle selection, voltage, and speed all affect shading. Magnums are best for smooth gradients, while round shaders can help add fine texture. Use the right needle for each area. Experimenting helps you learn what works best. Another key tip, keep your workspace clean and organized. Change gloves often, wipe away excess ink, and maintain a comfortable working posture. Question, how do you make greywash ink for smooth gradients? Answer, I mix black tattoo ink with distilled water or a pre-made mixing solution, creating several shades from dark to light. Use thin layers and build gradually. Question, what's the best speed for shading a lion's mane? Answer, slow and consistent. Rushing causes unevenness. Keep your hand steady, follow hair direction, and build up layers slowly. Question, how do you fix small mistakes in shading? Answer, sometimes you can lightly go over with lighter ink or blend with surrounding areas. Deep mistakes may require a touch-up later. Question, should highlights be applied last? Yes. Once all your shading layers are done, add highlights with white ink to make eyes, teeth, and fur shine naturally. Question, how to maintain symmetry in facial features? Answer, constantly check reference, compare both sides, and use light guidelines if necessary. Avoid rushing. Question, any tips for shading near edges of the tattoo? Answer, gradually fade out the ink, follow the natural shape of the design, and avoid abrupt transitions. Soft edges make the tattoo blend better with the skin. Question, how to ensure longevity of shading? Answer, avoid overworking skin, use proper ink saturation, and follow aftercare instructions. Proper healing keeps gradients smooth and rich. Question, how can beginners improve shading skills faster? Answer, practice on artificial skin often, study references, watch tutorials, and analyze real-life examples. Focus on hand control, needle depth, and consistent motion. Remember, practice makes perfect. Every lion tattoo is a learning experience. Don't get discouraged by mistakes. They're part of improving your craft. Lastly, I want to remind everyone, your support matters. Hit that like button, leave a comment with your questions or experiences, and subscribe to follow more tutorials. Share this live with your friends who are learning tattooing. Every share helps the community grow. Thank you so much for joining this live shading session. I hope you found these tips on lion tattoo shading, detailing, and texture helpful and inspiring. Keep practicing, stay patient, and always pay attention to detail. And finally, don't forget to check out my other videos for more tattoo tutorials, tips, and tricks. Happy tattooing, everyone.